I think treasury companies make a lot of sense. Uh, the idea of Ethereum as a treasury company, using that as like the treasury asset, also makes a lot of sense. The reason Ethereum, is attractive, in my opinion, is that it is the layer one blockchain where uh, real world assets are becoming tokenized, and we know that at least the most of the real world assets have been tokenized. But the big mega trend in the past year, I mean, the real viral app and maybe what I call the chat GPT moment for crypto has been stablecoins. It's been enormously popular with consumers and with merchants and now banks. It's a good business model for banks, but it's a great deal for consumers because it's a lower way to actually pay for things, and it's
Hmm.
secure because it's a blockchain. And for merchants, they don't have to deal with expense fees on a credit. That is so much Bitcoin that he has what I call a sovereign put, meaning if the US government ever wants to create a Bitcoin reserve, well, they can either try to buy a million Bitcoin in the open market or they'll buy MicroStrategy at a huge premium. So there's no way MicroStrategy should ever trade at net asset value. And then because of the volatility of Bitcoin, MicroStrategy in turn can use the capital markets to raise money at much reduced cost. Like if he held Bitcoin, it'd be very expensive for him to borrow money to buy more Bitcoin. So if you own MicroStrategy, he's working to give you more Bitcoin per share every day, and actually at a efficient cost. So over time, you're owning more Bitcoin, so you benefit from the Bitcoin going up. Plus, he's getting you more Bitcoin per share. Now, the ETH treasury models, and there aren't that many. There's a couple out there, including the one that was announced yesterday. Access, like following MicroStrategy's model
Hmm.
of trying to earn more crypto per share. Well, Ethereum's volatility actually makes it cheaper to fund purchases. So, because the higher the volatility you have, the more you can sell volatility and then lower your cost of borrowing. And the third is, of course, that because it's a staking token, a treasury company actually can also act as an operating business
Hmm.
on the network itself. And that's important because that ties back to something I'm originally thinking about, which is that as more things in the financial world and real world become tokenized, then financial institutions like Goldman and JP Morgan and Amazon Walmart, as they do stablecoins, are also going to want to stake Ethereum itself. So we're essentially doing the underlying architecture of what other businesses will actually do. So we're essentially getting out tokenization taking place of real financial assets. And you saw with Robinhood the idea that they're going to be tokenizing a lot of things, including private companies. I think that there is going to be a real look back at the layer one networks that offer a lot of utility with smart contract, but they're secure because they're actually US based, or a lot of the validation takes place in the US. And so that's why I think Ethereum really stands to benefit. I know that there are other chains that have a lot of stablecoins, such as Tron, but one of the challenges, of course, is that that a lot of the activity on that is takes outside the purview of the U.S.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I mean, pointing out Robinhood, of course, Coinbase building on top of Ethereum with Base, though some critics might say it's a bit centralized for now. And there are even people who are saying, hey, is there kind of, some of that being siphoned off into that ecosystem? How much really comes down? That maybe people are misunderstanding the way that these things normally work, the way that they're described through
Yeah, he's
SEC filings,
correct that
things
way.
like that.
Yeah, I mean, he was correct. I think what you're referring to is that there was a date where, like, there was a registration statement effective, and then someone had written, like, I think the crypto world is not really used to SEC filing, so then they see this registration statement, and then someone like Rostar, like, oh, everyone's dumping their shares. And I think in crypto, that's common because they would call that a rug pull. They're like, oh, there's a rug pull about to happen.
Hmm.
And but I think that that's you're right. Over time, people learn different behaviors. I mean, I would say the most successful crypto traders actually are quite gift round numbers. Okay, but Circle which has been a very successful IPO, and it's been the most successful IPO like in the last few years, and it's crypto. I mean, crypto has been one of the best equities and now the best IPOs. But Circle trades at around 100 times EBITDA. So, you know, a 1%, I don't know, yield, you might say, or a 1%, you know, EBITDA yield. I mean, it's a pretty sizable multiple. But stable coins really operate off a layer one. So, you know, a lot of Circle operates off Ethereum. And if you look at the tech stack, typically, the more you get into that layer one, like sort of level, the higher the multiple should be for the money.
Yeah, 10,000 I think might catch people's eyes on that. But I think a lot of this is reflexive in terms of some of it, again, begets, and this is something that maybe macro and TradFi it doesn't really understand in terms of when you're dealing with this on chain, it kind of triggers more activity and more, like you said, tokenization and everything as people kind of want to move ahead of what's to come. I know we only got a couple minutes because you have to jump, but one of the other questions, just to leave it on, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up maybe some of the fears that some people have with some of these treasury companies, kind of the idea, again, speaking to the reflexivity of it all, because there's the sailors of the world, and then I think there's a bunch of other people who are trying to do the same with Bitcoin. Now you're launching this one with ETH. I mean, what do you kind of say to people who get nervous about some of the downside reflexivity if prices are to flip? I know, obviously, again, you're smart, you can handle this, but there are other people.
You could have been born, like graduate high school at 20, and by the time you're 50, the biggest stock in the market was still Exxon, okay? It was never valued off earnings. It was always valued as a multiple of its reserve of oil, and it never traded at the value of its oil. It always traded at a multiple higher. And so that means in the market dictionary, if equity investors believe a treasury company has the right management team in place and the right capabilities to raise and grow the value of the crypto held per share to go up, it should always trade at a premium to its net asset value. That's what MicroStrategy has proven. But if someone's just saying, I'm going to put Bitcoin on my balance sheet, I should get my stock price go up, that's never going to work because
you've assembled and who you've gotten to back you guys at BitMine as well. You know, I also say that, you know, what we're doing here at Coinage is a community-owned co-op DAO on chain with our treasury and ETH too. I want to give a shout out to what we're doing here just because the idea of it being perhaps 3 years ahead of its time. I'm excited to see other treasury plays come to market, including yours. But I know you got to jump. Thank you so much for coming on. And again, love all the research. I want to shout that out to you as well. And Sean Farrell and what he does on the digital asset side. Phenomenal. Also, Coinage NFT holder. I don't know, Tom. I don't know if you can join now, but our community wanted to ask if you would as well join Coinage. So I'll throw that invite to you too once we wrap.
Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Support the channel by liking this video, subscribing, and enabling post notifications for more content on crypto and digital assets. Check out our other videos and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your engagement helps with the YouTube algorithm and keeps the content coming. Thanks for your support. Enjoy the video.